Welcome to Starengu. This podcast is dedicated to helping you thrive after your 9 to 5 by giving you the confidence and skills you need to launch your own side hustle and so much more. I'm your host, Tasha Johnson. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Niani B. She is the creator of a safe space for Black girls that never learn how to braid. Welcome to the show, Niani.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, so why don't you tell us about yourself?
Well, thank you for the beautiful introduction. I'm Niani B. I'm a Detroit natural hairstylist that specializes in protective styling. And I'm also the creator of a safe space for Black girls that never learned how to braid. I just developed the class during quarantine and it has been received very well. And so basically that's my focus now as a hairstylist, is also educating women at home who now have the time or realize they need to make the time to start learning more about how to care for their hair.
Okay, and guys, just so you know, full disclosure, I am one of her students. I found out about her online, and I cannot thank you enough for creating this class, because I was definitely one of those people. And so I have been learning so much. So again, I just wanted to thank you for taking time out to even create this course.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm just happy to be of assistance to everyone that was at home trying to figure out what to do with their hair.
That was me, because I am on Zoom calls all day long. I work in the corporate world, and I was just, I was a little lost there for a bit. Anyway, so why did you decide to become a hairstylist?
It kind of just happened. My mom was a natural hairstylist by hustle, so it wasn't like her main job. It was just a side gig. She was a single mom, and so just finding other ways to create income. There were 3 of us, and so she had like a little mini studio set up in the house where she would take clients, all natural hair clients, so a lot of lock maintenance and such. And she was really passionate about it. She's always been an entrepreneur. Like, I don't remember my mom not doing something for herself, but she's had corporate jobs. But bringing the two together. So just watching her, right, and being very passionate about hair. And so I would pick up her books. And I remember she had like a book about natural hair, and it just went into like, African hairstyles and different techniques. And I would read these books. And then when I turned 12, because I had locks, she had locks, I had locks, that was her specialty. And I always wanted to cut them off. The Just For Me hair commercials got me in the 90s. And I wanted to cut them off. And, I wanted the perm. I wanted to be that girl that I saw on TV. And so I begged to cut them off, and my mom let me do it. But I was not allowed to perm my hair. And so we couldn't do the beauty salon appointments every week because that just wasn't feasible. And so I had to figure it out. And so luckily I had a friend who got a book on braiding, and it was actually like a pictorial and like written words. I had to read how to braid. And so I read that. She came over for a sleepover. I read that book. I kept the book for a little bit after the sleepover and would like sit on my bathroom counter and practice on my own hair. And so in learning how to do that, I started doing my own hair. And then when it started looking like something, friends and family were like, can you do my hair, as a, hookup or whatnot. It wasn't like a professional thing. And I guess somewhere along the line, it started looking really good, because I remember my friend whose book it was, her mom offering to pay me to do my friend's hair every other week. She would come over anyway, because we were like BFFs. And so she would come over, or I would go over her house, and a part of this sleepover, I would do her hair and her mom would pay me. And so it became like, oh, wow, I can kind of make money doing this, like how my mom was. And so I just continued to do that. And then my godmother got me a job at a hair salon at 16 as an assistant. And I would say the rest is kind of history from there. I've been in and out. I did take a hiatus, moved to New York, still doing hair, but only for fun. It wasn't like a job. But as you can see, I got called back. And I mean, it just kind of happened. I would say it's my purpose, because I keep finding myself being brought back to it. Mm-hmm. And I love it. I really love doing hair. I love talking to my clients. I love now meeting new people virtually and teaching them about hair and having these conversations, whether it be podcasts or interviews or lives. But I mean, I went around and around, but yeah, that's how I got into
No,
doing hair.
no, that's a fascinating story. And by the way, you are just super intelligent because, man, I can't tell you how many of my fair share that I've watched the YouTube tutorials, and you're sitting up here telling me that you learned how to braid from a book.
I know, and I wish I
Like,
remember the
that's
name of the
insane.
book. I want to find it because I mean, honestly, that's how I learned how to cornrow. I knew how to plait already, and I guess, and I never mentioned that in like any of my interviews, but I grew up in an African-centered community. I went to an African-centered school. I took African dance probably several times a week, and I would go to conferences, and sometimes we would have dance conferences in Detroit. And I remember a group coming from I think it was the Gambia, somewhere in West Africa, and some of the girls were braiding some of the ladies' hair here in Detroit. And my godmother was one of those people, and I remember sitting with her as she got her hair braided. She was getting zillions. Zillions were like super popular, which are now just known as micro braids.
Mm.
But she was getting it done. I had my Barbie doll, or baby doll, it wasn't an actual Barbie, and I braided my doll's hair just by watching her. That's how I learned how to plait, and I would just plait this doll's hair, but that was the only thing that I knew how to do. So the book helped me take plaits and transform them into cornrows. And that kind of helped me like really see what I could teach in the class, because if I could learn reading a book, then I could definitely teach people how to do it via video, and live video at that. So I knew that it was possible, because a lot of people are always like, nope, I've watched YouTube videos. I can't get it. I need a hands-on lesson. Can I, come to your house? Can you do a personal lesson? Are you going to do anything at the studio? And I'm always like, you can learn on live on a video, because I read a book at 12 and learned. So it's possible.
But you know what? You got to have a special talent for that. I'm sorry. You
It
just
is,
have to
but I
have it.
didn't have the talents. I'm just, I'm throwing that out there because I want everyone to believe in themselves and just look at that. I had locks. I had locks my whole life. 12 years old, I cut them off. My hair was probably about 2 to 3 inches long, and I had to figure it out.
Wow.
And when you're determined, and I don't want to say that teasing was helpful, but I was being teased a lot with having locks. Locks were not a popular hairstyle in the 90s, especially for children. And so I was teased a lot, and it got to a point where I would just wear my afro. And I talk about this in class, like setting realistic goals for yourself. And so I might add 2 braids to the front of my afro. And so I kept practicing until it looked like something. And so that was my push, was that I didn't want to be teased anymore. And nothing against an afro, but I didn't want, as a 12-year-old, to have to wear an afro to school every day. And then
Yeah.
that got worse in high school, because the natural hair movement wasn't, as big as it was. Social media wasn't a thing. So I might have been the only girl in my high school with natural hair, and it was just like, why is your hair like that? And so it's like, okay, I'm not straightening it. My mom's not letting me do that. Let me figure out, how to style it and care for it. How can I make it grow? And so really, if you're determined, right, to not be teased or to not look what society has made us feel like is a hot mess, then
Sure.
you're adamant about learning. So I'm I can see myself now, 12 years old, 13 years old, sitting on the bathroom counter with, I didn't even have a comb because we had locks. So I had a fork, a plastic fork,
Oh,
parting my hair.
wow. Are you serious?
Serious. We did not have combs
What?
in the house because my mom had locks, I had locks, my brothers had locks, and now we see plenty of tutorials, even in the salon, where we kind of have learned to use combs to retwist hair. But back in the day, you palm rolled it, right? You put oil or whatever product, and we palm rolled. So there was no need for combs in the house. And I'm sure my friends who visit remember me having this plastic fork, and that was my comb for the longest.
Oh my goodness. So do you think that is part of the reason why you created a safe space for Black girls? Is that part of the reason why you created this community, if you will?
So whenever I do interviews, I never have time to like tell all, because I feel like it's been like a mixing pot. It's been so many things that have contributed to why and how I came up with the idea for the class. One was I don't service children in the salon. That's just something I
Okay.
don't do anymore.
Okay.
It takes longer than a normal appointment to service most children because they don't want to sit for the appointment.
Sure.
It's not a pleasant experience usually for children because they don't want to get their hair done. And those aren't things that I want to be a part of. So I said, I'm not taking children anymore, but I wanted to find a solution. So I had this idea and I had talked to my mentor about it and a couple of other of my colleagues that I wanted to teach a class for moms and daughters so that they could learn how to care for their children's hair and do quick, simple styles, because children don't like getting their hair done. And then once it's done, they don't really care about the upkeep. So, I mean, most of the time they jack it up within a few hours, right? They go
That's true.
outside, they're rolling around, you drop them off at school, they come back and their hair looks completely different. And so I felt like it was a skill that every mom should have because no mom should have to pay, for weekly appointments for their kids' hair to get done because they don't know how to do it. Now, if you want to do it just because it's more convenient as far as time, sure, but I feel like doing it yourself is always best because if they jack it up in a day, you can fix it, especially if you've done a quick style. So that's where that part came from. And I said, okay, I was going to teach a class. I can do that. Now, because of COVID, I decided to open it up to everybody because now everybody was at home trying to figure out what to do with their hair. It wasn't just moms and daughters. It was literally most of the Black,
Yep.
community. So, like, yeah, I'm going to do all. And I actually have a client who had reached out to me prior to COVID and asked me to teach her a one-on-one. And she had ordered the mannequin. We got combs, all of that, and I was going to teach her a one-on-one on how to braid. She knows how to plait. She just wanted me to teach her. And I had never thought of doing anything like that. But she asked, and I said, sure. And we ended up having to reschedule, and then COVID happened. So all of these things kind of added to this idea that became a safe space. And I was able to build this community that I thought was just going to be a quick braiding class online. People were going to learn how to braid and that's it. And I feel like it's grown to be so much more. Even watching the ladies in the group interact with each other in the group, in class, hype each other up and really just watching each other progress. It has been very touching for me just to see that because I was like, oh, this is more than just braiding. We've like really built a community.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I'm one of your new students, so I just started your course. What was it, back in September? I think was the
Mhm.
second one, and it has been so amazing. I'm not a big like social media person, not really big on Facebook or whatever, but I find myself going to your group a lot just to get like the inspiration, just to read some of the comments. And so yeah, I can definitely attest to that. I really do feel like you've got something super special there. And yeah, I really enjoy it. I just wanted to thank you for that too. I really do enjoy that. You're absolutely right. It's more than just braiding. There's a
Yeah.
lot more to it. I can't describe it, but
No, it's so hard. And I think
yeah.
it hit me when we first started the class, we had to change things. And now I'm trying to figure out ways to add back in the personal touch. But
Mhm.
when we only had a few students, we used to ask, like, why do you want to join this space? And that was because we wanted to keep it safe. So we had to make sure it wasn't people that were not, I already know how to braid, but I'm just trying to see what y'all doing, because then that
Yeah.
doesn't ensure that the space stays safe. But we had a lot of people who were like, either they grew up, where their hair was constantly being permed and they didn't want it permed, but they didn't know how to take care of their hair outside of that. So they never really got to learn. Or we had moms who just never learned and just yearned for the connection with their daughters, doing their hair weekly and just they wanted to be able to feel that connection that they saw other women have, but they didn't know how. And the space hadn't been created for them to learn how without feeling, some type of way because they're Black and don't know how to braid,
Yeah.
which isn't, I mean, that's perfectly fine. But now we've got the space. So if you want to learn and you're open to learning, you can definitely join.
Definitely. And then how long does it take for your students to typically learn how to braid in your experience?
It's been different for every student. I can say that. I can't put a timestamp on it just because, like, I know how to braid. And so I don't know, this has been something that I've been doing over the years. And even now, I still take classes learning different techniques. and such. Some students get it right away. Sometimes in that first class, they've constructed their very first braid, and you'll see them post in the chat like, oh my God, I did it. I've got a braid. Or they take a picture and they post it in a group. So sometimes it's one class. Sometimes it's, the full 4-week session. It really just depends. I will say it does take practice. It takes patience and staying positive throughout the process of learning. And so if you stick to it, you'll definitely get it, but you have to be honest with yourself. Are you actually practicing? Are
Mm-hmm.
you being patient with yourself? Are you actually tuning into the classes? Because that's the only way you're going to grow.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I have to once again thank you, because as a part of the community, even if you do miss the live classes, I love the fact that you have the videos like recorded so you can go back and view it as many times as you want.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, because I understand that, sometimes we can't make the live class. And I thought that it being live was like the really cool feature, which it is. But of course,
it
the
is.
community has added to it. But now we have students all over the world. And
Mhm.
so time difference has been a huge factor. Like we have students in Turkey. We had some in Australia at one point, South
Oh, wow.
Africa. And so time difference is huge. So making sure that those videos are saved,
Yeah.
working through technical difficulties, because we know lives can be a headache sometimes, but figuring out, like I've had to be my own tech support and online learning how to conduct lives just to make that feature available and saving these live videos so people can watch whenever they have time or when they wake up.
Yeah. And you know what, by the way, I know some people may think, oh, I could watch a YouTube tutorial, but I have watched so many of them, and honestly, they do not compare to what you've shown. Um, your lives are the best to me. Like your lives and your videos, I have tried so many times to learn how to braid, and I kind of, I'll be honest, I gave up. But I saw your class and it just drew my attention. And then after the first live class, like the way that you really zero in on the braiding, the explanation, it's just perfect. Just
Thank
wanted to tell you
you.
that too. It is the best. So, um, what is a common misconception about natural hair?
That is high maintenance.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll say that. Like, we feel like it has to be this long list of products that we have to use. Our wash day needs to be 24 hours. um, it's it's just this, thing where it's just natural hair is high maintenance, and it doesn't have to be. If you want it to be, sure, absolutely, and I'll support you on that journey. But it doesn't have to be. I don't want anyone to feel like they can't be natural because it's too much maintenance, right?
Mhm.
That's not necessarily true. And we talked about that in the beginning when I first started the classes, because I remember having a ton of students who were kind of just like, oh my God, salons are closed. All of my hair is going to fall out. I was getting text messages from clients. What am I going to do? Can I come sit on your porch? Can you? And I'm like,
I
I
come sit on
promise.
your porch. I need to
Yeah,
stop laughing. I
that
would have been
sounds
that person.
funny. I mean, honestly, I have text messages asking, can I do porch appointments? I had people offering to pay me double and triple to secretly take them as an appointment. And it was like, wow, like this connection with our hair and to look good. Because Michigan was shut down completely, right? So we weren't going anywhere. So
Mhm.
why was it this need to have my hair done? But women were really scared that they were going to lose their hair. And I was like, look, it doesn't have to be difficult. Just keep it clean, keep it
Mm.
moisturized, and keep it moving. Society has decided that it has to be in a really cute style, right? To be
Mhm.
something. But we're in the middle of a pandemic, so keep it moisturized and keep it moving.
Okay, and so with that, and I'm gonna be honest, I would have been, if I knew you, I would have been like, "Can I be on your porch?" I would have, would have been that person, and mainly because I would have been lost, And to your point, I guess I've been one of those people that used to think that natural hair, and my hair is natural, is kind of high maintenance, but I think that's because, to your point, is the hairstyle. So, what is your favorite hairstyle and why?
Mm. That's a tough one because, okay, my favorite hairstyle to do, I would have to say, is two-strand twist or box braids. if I had to choose one that was completely natural and one that, you know, has extensions. And that's just because of the versatility, right? I love that I can put it up in a ponytail and a bun. I can, you know, leave it loose. I can cornrow my box braids, or I can cornrow my twist. Like, there's so many different styles. You can pin them up. You can just manipulate it and make it do, you know, whatever it wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, that's why I really love both of those hairstyles.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what would be your favorite hair product and why?
Alakay Naturals lemongrass leave-in conditioner. I love it. I
Okay.
love it. A lot of people think Alakay Naturals is sponsoring me. No, they're not.
Well,
I
they
just
need to be.
I love Alakay Naturals. The smell out, you know, being a first generation American, my family is Jamaican. The lemongrass is, you know, just the smell that I really love. It brings back good memories. But the leave-in conditioner just, it works really well, and it works for every hair type. Like, I haven't ran into a hair type that I haven't been able to use it with, and love it so much that it's in the gallon size in the salon. That's what we use
Oh,
in the
wow.
salon. And so I feel like everybody should have a bottle of the Alakay Naturals lemongrass leave-in conditioner, which used to just be that one item. Now there's a whole lemongrass line, and I have found a use for each product in that line, and I just really love the smell of lemongrass.
Okay. Yeah, actually, that's been on my list. I need to, once I run out of product, I'm also a product junkie. So I got, I'm like, okay, I need to slow my roll, finish this first, and then move on to that one. All right. So who is your celebrity hair crush?
Ryan Michelle Bethay.
Okay. And then why?
I overall, like, I just love her hair. When you see her on a carpet or featured in a movie or, you know, TV show, her hair is always different. And I love that it's not the natural hair that we're used to seeing, right? We see those hairstyles a lot, but typically we'll see curl tight, 3A, if I had to put a label on it,
Yep.
2 wavy, you know, girls who have naturally like sleek and very curly hair. I can relate more to Ryan's hair type. I just like seeing that on the carpet, you know.
Yeah.
I love it. And she's colored it, and sometimes she has a wash and go. She had the moment where she had the sides shaved, and she was really doing some really beautiful styles even with that I wouldn't even thought of. Like, I think there was one where she had a bun and her sides were shaved, and typically I wouldn't even think to do that with natural hair. And I don't know, it's just always so beautiful. And it's, again, a hair texture that we're not used to seeing a lot in the media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. So obviously this has been a challenging year for everybody, right? So the next couple of questions are a little bit more on the fun side. If you could give this year a theme song, what would it be and why?
Whew. We need a playlist. Um, it's been so crazy, right? Feelings up and down, especially for us in the Black community, because
Yes.
we've been going through so much. I feel like we've been pulled right, left, up, down.
Yep.
That's a tough one. Maybe Kendrick Lamar, All Right. And that song can have so many different meanings, but whenever I'm feeling down about, you know, even just things going on in the community, those lines and the hook, you know, just kind of help. Like, we're going to be all right.
Okay. Okay. And so when we're finally able to travel again, gracious, I hope that's soon. Anyway, when we're finally able to travel again, where would you go and why?
Ghana.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And the gates have opened, but I'm not ready yet. But Ghana, as soon as we get back to some type of normal or figure out what this new normal looks like, I will be on the first plane smoking to Ghana.
That is awesome. Yeah, Ghana is on my list too. Ghana and South Africa.
Yes.
And yeah, Ghana, South Africa. And I have a couple places in Europe I want to check out too. But yeah,
yes, I want to get to England as well. And I've like figured out, like, I really want to get to Ghana, and I've been like mapping out this travel list. Like, maybe I can make it all happen at the same time where we go to UK and up in Ghana. Like, how does this work? So yeah.
Okay,
And
you're like me.
African American expats in Ghana now. I just want to see how they living.
Yeah, that's on my list too.
Is this an option?
So last but not least, what's the best piece of advice that you have for aspiring entrepreneurs?
A piece of advice. Oh, this one's been sitting with me. I actually shared it with a fellow entrepreneur friend of mine, is to plan for success.
Okay.
A lot of times we don't, and that's what happened with me. I can't tell you how many times I was going to quit teaching this class. It was just
No.
me. Going viral looks pretty from the outside, but from the inside, if you can imagine, right, you have thousands of people contacting you, trying to get information. On top of that, you have media outlets contacting you. I was doing several interviews a week.
Oh,
It
wow.
was a lot, and I didn't plan for that. If I had planned for that, it wouldn't have been as much. But when I, launched the class, it was a post on Facebook, and I said, if I get 5 to 10 people, that would be cool, right? Can teach this class online, whatnot, whatever. And then when the world opens up, we'll do it in person. But going viral meant that you had thousands of people inquiring about this class. And my website wasn't prepared. I mean, we had 2 moments where the website crashed because there was just too much. Our first feature was in the New York Times. So that reach was huge.
Wow.
And I wasn't ready. So now I plan for success. Every time we relaunch, I just posted that we're doing the box braid class again, and I have organized it better on the back end planning, just in case you have more than what your goal is, so that you're ready. And it's not, because people on the outside, they don't know what's going on behind the scenes. They just look at it as you being unorganized. They don't care that you're one person and you're doing everything. Your social media, you
Yeah.
are customer service, you're the teacher, you're the web developer. I mean, I was not sleeping at all.
I
So
can imagine that.
yeah.
Yeah, that had to be tough. I hope
Yeah,
you
it's
have some
been
help now.
good. Yes, I have help now. We're much more organized now, but yeah, I mean, it's a great way to plan, to like to look at things, because a lot of times, and me and my friend were saying, we don't know why do we do that, where we don't really plan to be successful, right? We know we have a great idea, we know that we're going to launch it, but we don't really plan for it to be like a huge hit, right? We set the scale low, maybe so that we're not disappointed. And so you're like, oh, I'm going to launch this class. And it's always been a subscription, but it was set up where I had to manage the subscriptions on the back end manually,
Oh,
right?
wow. Oh,
That was fine if you only had, 10 to 20 students. But when you have more,
yeah.
that me up all night. And then our subscriptions were being managed every 2 weeks instead of monthly subscriptions. So it was a lot. So I was not prepared. And so definitely plan for, buy all the books you can, ask questions. I'm not super active in my Facebook group, but I'm working on that too. I did start a Facebook group called A Safe Space for Black Business Owners, where I can share my experiences, share tools that I'm using to better my class and my business, just because I don't know why we try and make it a secret when we're successful, the things that we've gone through and used.
Mhm.
Nobody should have to go through that. So
Definitely.
I wish someone had told me. No one really said, hey, you're going to need, hey, websites can't hold more than such and such people if you don't pay for it to hold more. I don't know anything about websites. I just know I paid for a website and people should be able to visit it. And so just putting these things out there in one place where other Black business owners can read and also contribute, because maybe there's other business owners that have gone through some things on their end and want to share how they overcame those obstacles, and we can grow together.
I love that. I love that so much. And you know what? I just want to again thank you so much for taking time out. I know you are super busy, but again, thank you so much for taking time out to do the
No
Starring You
problem. Thank you for
podcast.
being a part of the space.
Thank you so much. And you know what? How can people connect with you if they want to find out a little bit more about your projects?
They can go to neonib.com. That kind of takes you to all of my spaces. We have the store, we have the studio if you're local to Detroit, and then we also have the classes. you want to get straight to the classes, it's just www.asafespaceforblackgirls.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. I'm confident that my side hustle of helping others to invest in themselves via my YouTube channel, this podcast, and most importantly, my online courses could be of assistance to you. If you enjoy Starengu's podcast, please consider becoming a supporter by donating to help offset the cost of producing this show. Remember, if you're everything to everyone, then you risk being no one. You never know who you will inspire. See you in the next episode.